I've done here, I'm going to turn this camera down so that y'all can see here, I hope. So far, all I've got in the pot is just a stick of real butter. So, to that, I'm going to get my stove on so I can get that started to melt. Grab my little Ratatouille. Y'all seen this before. I use this a lot in my kitchen. You will see it a whole lot. So, we get that melted. While that's melting, then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I'm going to do here. Now, this basic recipe, this cream soup, is something you can use for a lot of different recipes. And once I get to that point, I'll show you, or I'll tell you what you can use it for, or at least some of the things you can use it for. But I use this basic recipe, just some butter and flour, heavy whipping cream, and you'll see here what else I've got that I keep on my shelf. This is the chicken broth, like I just canned, and you'll see I use this as a base for like if I wanted a cream soup to put in a chicken casserole, I will make a smaller amount of this to put in the recipe. You know, instead of buying a Campbell's cream of chicken soup or cream of celery soup or cream of mushroom soup, all you have to do is mix some butter, and you know, if you want onions in it, you can put onions in it, but some butter and flour, and make a roux. Now, if you don't know what a roux is, it's just a thick paste that you use. You make with the butter and flour, and you turn it into a paste. And I'll show you that right here in a minute. This butter's almost melted. And so, with this recipe, I'm going to add onions because I want some sauteed onions in this recipe. So I've got a bowl of onions here that I'm going to dump in there and give them just a little bit of time to saute. And I'll show you that in just a minute too. Let me see if you can see into the pot what I'm doing here. I believe you can see there that I'm just going to saute those onions real fast. And my light's glaring from me. Okay, but anyway, I'm going to saute these onions, and then I'm going to gradually add my flour to it, and I will show you when I get ready to add the flour the consistency that you're looking for. And turn that on the low lighting there so that I'll move my camera just a little bit closer so you'll be able to see down into the pot whenever I get to that point. And I'm going to get these onions pretty tender before I do anything else to it. But once you learn to do this, this is a technique that you can use. I mean, you don't even need a recipe for it. You know, if you want to, like I'm going to make a large pot of this soup that I'm making. But if I wanted to make a smaller one, you know, I might, if I'm making a roux to make a small amount to put in like a chicken casserole, like it would be like 1 can or 2 cans of cream of chicken soup, then I might just use a quarter of a cup or a quarter of a block of butter, and then just enough flour to thicken it. Or if I wanted a smaller amount, maybe a half a stick of butter, and then the flour to thicken it. But you'll get used to that. I mean, I showed you there. I had about 1 1/2 of a small, probably like a good size hen egg size of onion, and I wanted quite a bit of onion in this particular recipe. But my grandson was here a little while ago, and he told me that my granddaughter made this recipe in a crock pot last night. Now she's 15, and so she's learning how to cook for her daddy and her brother, and I'm just real proud of her for doing that, because she loves to cook. She just loves to cook. She likes to bake better than she likes to cook. Okay, so now I want to show you, see if you can see in here how that looks. I believe you can see that right there. And see, the onions are beginning to look a little bit iridescent, and that's how you can tell that they are almost done. And I don't want these to caramelize. You know, when they start to caramelize, that's when they release the sugars in the onions, and they'll start to turn a little bit brown. I don't want it to get that far with this recipe. Now, I've got some flour, and it doesn't matter if it's regular or self-rising or what. I'm just going to shake some of it into the pot here and start stirring it in. And let's see if I can fix that so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. I just want to make it so that it's kind of pasty in the bottom of the pot. And it's just about there, but I still see some butter floating around, and I don't want that. I want it to be a good pasty roux in the bottom of there. So let's go back and work that in. Just about to get there. Just about. I still see a little bit too much butter. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but I can see a little bit of bubbling going on. And that's what I'm saying is too much butter. Still too much liquid. Okay, I think that's probably about to get it right there. I think you can see right there how that's just almost like a dough. So I'm going to leave that camera down there so you can see. What I'm going to do next is pour some heavy whipping cream in it, just a little at a time, so that I can work it into this. And it'll start to thicken like a gravy. Okay, let's get some more in it. Once it incorporates all of that liquid into it, then you just keep adding the liquid to it. And I can add more to it because it's getting to the point now where it's a whole lot looser. And that's what I want. Okay, you can see there now that is, I'm going to turn that on a higher setting. Maybe you can see there now how thick that is. Okay, now I'm going to turn that back up just a minute. Go ahead and pour some more liquid in it so it won't burn while I'm showing you this. I want to show you my little tool here. This is an old tool. I can remember my grandmother having one in her cabinet. See what I'm doing here? If you like to save your canning jar lids, you can open it and there will be no bend in it. And I'm going to go ahead and pour some of this in because I don't want it to stick. But I'll turn this back down and I'll keep talking to you. I keep some of my, if the jar lid's clean, I don't, if it's had tomatoes or something like that on it, it's usually stained, and I don't usually keep those. But for like this chicken broth, they come off clean and they're not stained. And so I keep some of those to use for my vacuum sealing, because I vacuum seal lots of stuff in jars. And I'll talk to y'all at some point about some things that I like to vacuum seal. Got a new project coming up pretty soon that'll be doing that. And okay, y'all can see there, that's still pretty liquid. And of course right now it's kind of cold because I've added the cold chicken broth and the cold heavy whipping cream to it. But as it's going to thicken, it'll thicken almost like a gravy. And of course, I'll add more of the liquids to it to keep it from being that thick. But what I was saying earlier about using this as a base for multiple kinds of cream soup, I have used this for cream of onion soup, which is basically what I've got right here now, is just a cream of onion soup. But then today, I'm going to be adding some broccoli to it. And I steam my broccoli and then cut it up real fine and add it to this mixture when it's done. Okay, that's getting thick on the bottom. This is just like the banana pudding recipe. If you've seen that video, how we thickened the banana pudding in the bottom. And this is the same basic principle. You want to keep stirring it, and see that doesn't have a whole lot on the bottom of it right now, but it will. And but anyway, I'm making the broccoli soup in this today, the cream of broccoli soup. And another thing that I do sometimes whenever I'm making cream of broccoli soup, I occasionally will add some cheese to it. That adds another layer of flavor to it. But then another thing you can do, when my granddaughter made it last night, she did this, and then she added broccoli and some cooked carrots and some cooked potatoes to it. Now I do the potatoes and carrots sometimes. I like a cream of potato soup with just a little bit of carrot in it. And you can add chicken to it. You could add beef to it. You know, just shredded. I mean, just so many ways that you can use this recipe. Let me pour some more of this heavy cream in here. That's probably about all of that I'm going to need. And get this going here. And in a minute, I'll talk to you about seasonings that you can add to it. Of course, you can always add some salt and pepper. To this one, I will add a little bit of nutmeg. Nutmeg and broccoli go real well together. And of course, if I was making a cream of chicken soup or something like that, then I might add some kind of chicken flavoring. Something you would add to chicken with it. Now I'm going to use this whole jar of the chicken broth to this. Adjust my heat a little bit. Turn that back up a minute so I can talk to you, but this is just one of the ways that I use the chicken broth that I have on my shelf. And I could have had to go to the grocery store to get what they have and no telling what it's got in it. But like this, I know that the only thing that's in that jar is some water and some little bit of chicken fat and chicken flavoring is all that's in that jar, because I did not add anything to it. Okay, so that's beginning to get there. Okay, so I want to show you how you can tell if this soup is thick enough. You see how that back of that looks? Can you see the thick on the back of it where I've scraped the bottom? When it starts to really build up on the back of there, and I think you can see in the pot, let me move that over so you can kind of see down in there, the movement is not quite like a water, or it's slower than it normally would be if it was just liquid. So it's beginning to boil, so I'm going to turn the heat down. But you can see there's quite a bit right across the end of there that's building up on the end of my little spatula. And that's how you can tell when it's thick enough. when this cools, it's going to really thicken up like a pudding or a gravy. And wouldn't you know, the phone would ring about the time I'm doing a video. But that's okay, they'll have to call back. Okay, so this is thick enough now. And so what I want to show you next is when I've got my broccoli, I take one of my rotted knives and just cut through it like this, so that when I get it all cut up, you can see there how small that is. And so I'm just going to start folding this in to that soup. And that's going to, of course, that's going to add to the thickness of it, because there's quite a bit of broccoli here. I like a whole lot of broccoli. And of course, if I was using multiple different ingredients, then, but you can see there, now you can kind of see how thick that is with that broccoli going into it. Okay, and then the last thing that I'm putting into this is just my seasonings. I've got salt and pepper. I've got some pink sea salt there, and a little bit of pepper, and my nutmeg. I'm just going to sprinkle some of that on the top of here, and I'm not going to put it all in there because I want to taste it and make sure that I don't get too much. So anyways, now you can see, I think you can see right there, well, now you can see how my soup looks and see how thick that is. And here in East Tennessee, we have got frigid temperatures. I know if you're from Minnesota or somewhere like that, you can say we don't know what frigid is, but for East Tennessee, it's frigid. I mean, when it's getting down close to 0, it's cold. So, but anyway, that is how you can make a cream soup, and you can add whatever vegetables that you want into it. And so until the next time, God bless you.